Hey, pleasant Thursday to everybody. Welcome into Citrus Preps podcast for this week alongside Mike Deem. I'm Brett Knutson. Thanks for joining us on YouTube as we do our weekly podcast talking about high school sports across the area and cold weather, which is fine for basketball.
Hey, Christmas season coming up, we can get it.
Wrestling going on as well, but also big time into high school soccer, and
that's where the cold comes in.
Yeah, I was walking out from a performance at Curtis Peterson at Lecanto the other night, and I just looked onto the soccer field, and I ran from my car and said, "I don't know how they do it."
That's where I used to be.
I don't. I mean, the kids. It's okay. You got to be a dedicated fan and coach.
Oh yeah.
That's not as much fun, is it?
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're winning, it's good. But if you're losing in the cold, it's pretty bad.
Well, and we've got a few teams around here that are doing a lot of winning so far. Continues for the Lecanto girls soccer team and Coach Kevin Town. They continue to dominate just about every opponent. I know they've got a couple of losses this year, and we'll see if they can avenge that when they get to district tournament time. But a solid soccer team again for Coach Town.
Yeah, 7-1, and going to play Citrus coming up. Citrus is 6-0, so that should be a good game next week, right before Christmas break. So it's going to be a test for the coach and for the players, but you got to deal with it. And I think that's a good thing, a good test for them, especially in their district. It's going to make a big difference because getting them battle tested ready for district championships and, of course, hopefully moving into the state playoffs.
And kind of one of those games for Citrus, who's put together, I don't know if it's quietly, but I mean, they've put together a solid season.
Yeah.
I mean, they're having a phenomenal year. But, I mean, if you're the Citrus girls soccer team and you know what Lecanto accomplished last year, next week becomes kind of okay, how good are you? If you can knock off Lecanto or play them close, I think that lets you as a team and the rest of the district know, hold on, there's another team here that's capable as we get to district tournament and potentially state playoff time.
Yeah, they're going to say, we want some headlines too. So that's going to be a big motivation game for Citrus to come out there and try to beat Lecanto. Boys side, Citrus really dominating on the interior of Citrus County for them right now. They've got him going right now, and then that's a good coach over there. Lecanto's rebuilding a little bit. They've got some young players, and Mike Calloway at Chris Rivers just brought him up. Actually, Chris River beat Lecanto last night 2-1 on a late second goal. And Calloway's been around a long time. He's a good coach. He knows his stuff, and I'm glad that they got him on board again for the Pirates. But Lecanto's struggling a little bit, but they'll get back into it. District is, you can wipe the slate clean and go to district and
it's all about
and win.
Seeding for the district tournament.
Exactly.
We talked about the Lecanto girls. They ended up getting a season sweep over Crystal River, so they obviously are playing good soccer as well. Seven Rivers continues to do a good job.
Different district, but they're playing well. Coach McDougal's got them going there, so he's a good coach too. I mean, there's a lot of good coaches out there in all sports, but in the soccer, I'm pretty adept at knowing who they are and who's coaching who and who's what. But Seven Rivers is a good team.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll continue to cover the soccer as we get through to Christmas break. And then really once you get past Christmas break and you get into the early part of January, you're starting to really want to get things ramped up because district tournament is right around the corner, and that means state tournament play as well. So,
and that's the coldest weather.
Yeah, they save it for that. That's no fun. You always wonder. I mean, and I know. Look, the big ticket items are football and basketball, but you always wonder. And you've been around it enough, Mike. I played it a long time ago, and I think it does matter. Does the best team always win when it's 20 degrees outside?
No. I mean, that's a big deal.
What if you played it in, and I know that, hey, there's a reason why all the sports have the seasons they have. There's a reason why it happens. Soccer players will, some may come from football. Some may want to play
baseball,
So you see, but, you all, the elements make a difference, and I get it in football, but, soccer always... And this isn't just to the state of Florida, and I know we have a lot better weather, but, I went through this working in Missouri and Louisiana and South Carolina. This is the season where they put, and it's just, you always wonder, what if?
I feel like
it was played in the
sport.
spring.
Yeah, spring sports would be a great sport, but because of what happened in Florida. I mean, there's, up north, you do have spring soccer. I mean, in the northeastern, you have spring soccer. And that's what they usually play up there, because you can't play it in the snow.
No, they're forced to put it in the
spring. Here they don't have to because they just throw it in and lump it in. But and I'm going to maybe get on my perch here, but the soccer is in high school is totally different than what you would see from a standpoint of a traveling league or something like that. I mean, it's good, and don't get me wrong, and more and more players that are begging out and playing into a traveling league and not playing high school soccer. They're more going for if they're especially driven to go to a college or maybe professional, whatever. They're not going to be playing high school soccer. So it tends to fall down in that league from a standpoint of the talent coming through. But we do have some players here that play at Boston College. Austin Deanna played for Lecanto.
Yeah,
he played for the top #1 state team in a traveling league in Orlando, and he still played high school soccer. So I really admire him for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you can still have a lot of success playing high school soccer, but like you said, a lot of times it is just an extra day or two on the pitch and practice, and it is. And I mean, look, this has been an interesting week for not for FHSA specifically, but there's a lot of talk about the longtime Apopka head football coach who took a job up in Alabama, making over $100,000 a year as a coach, and talking about the decline of the importance of coaching in the high school ranks and how it affects the schools. And then you get into the state legislature and the open seating policy, which has made a huge deal. The FHSAA has, been kind of taken behind the woodshed by a lot of folks on social media, but they're defending themselves, saying that we tried to fight this. This is all on the suits in Tallahassee, and you can see the effect on individual sports and kids jumping from school to school, no sense of community pride, no sense of growing up. And
there's none.
I mean, you remember when you played, I mean, it was when you're a kid and you live in Crystal River, you want to be a pirate.
Yep.
If you live in Inverness, you want to be a hurricane, and that's your goal. And now it is almost to the point where I want to go where the best team is, and if that means one season, I'm at one school, and the next season,
they jump around because they can.
And then you don't pay your coaches and your teachers.
And there's no dues being paid. Sometimes you have to earn these things where you want to try to get it, quicker. And the other thing is that it puts coaches on the hot seat a little bit more, and coaches are not as in reference anymore than I feel that they used to be.
It's so unfair to the coaches too, as we said, because I mean, you could have a solid team, that looks like they're coming up from the freshman ranks.
Exactly.
And 3 of them decide they want to go play for another coach across the county, and then you lose them. Did you become a bad coach? No, you just lost players across the county.
And you're looking at it, and you're at a freshman team. I remember our freshman team, and again, I'm old and gray, but I remember our freshman team. We all said, "Wow, if we all stay together, we're pretty good. We're going to be pretty good." And then the coach saw that, and we just worked our way through, and that's what happened. And you don't have that now because you can, like you said, 4 or 5 will jump, and 1 or 2 will move. You always have the transition occasionally with moving in and out, but moving in and out on purpose was different than moving in and out because your parents had to.
Well, yeah, and you talk about how it affects the kids. The parents are certainly partially responsible, but if you have kids that don't like the way the coach talked to them, or not happy that they've been moved to second string, they're out. They leave. When it used to be, the coaches ran the show, the parents sat there and showed up to games and didn't say a word, and the coach could discipline like he wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
He could take care of things. And, the
parents said, please do.
Kids had to suck it up, and they had to deal with it, because they would come home and mom and dad would say, hey, coach knows what he's talking about.
You wanted to play. You wanted to play for him.
You made the mistake, and you're now the backup safety or the backup striker or whatever you are. And it's
exactly.
Now kids and parents allow them. Okay, and sometimes I think the parents are leading the way. Why is my kid coming off the bench? We're going to go over to the other school, or he or she can be a starter.
A perfect example. We're digressing on this thing, but Alabama, Tua and Hurts.
Oh yeah, that's
big time.
Why is that such a big deal? Because it doesn't happen anymore.
Exactly right.
It's a big deal because it doesn't happen.
Yep. And most of the time they transfer, they get demoted. So.
Yeah. Well, that's the first thing you read about. Google and look up any quarterback competition that happened in the spring of a football season.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they name the starter, right underneath the name of the starter, the question becomes, where will the kid who's not the starter transfer?
Exactly.
That's kind of the way it goes. Yeah. So,
that was a tangent and a half.
That's okay. I mean, today this is what's going on, so we'll let it go. That's what's going on in soccer. We'll keep you updated as we get through the holidays and move to the first of the year. Basketball, obviously, underway, getting close to. For the girls, they played a couple extra games. They are about a third of the way through their district schedule. The boys have just played a couple of games. Speaking of that, we will have live high school basketball on Friday night. You can see it right here at Citrus Preps on YouTube. Get underway around 7:30. We will be out at Citrus High School for what should be a really good basketball game. A couple of rivals as Lecanto travels to Citrus. As we get ready for that game, a couple scores from this week. District games we're talking about. Lecanto improved to 2-0 in district play. This is on the boys' side as they knocked off Central 82-71. They continue to get some balanced scoring. They've had, one of their first district games. Ian Rose had a big night. Peyton Velarde had a big night. The other last two games, he's been, I think, close to 20 points a game, doing very well. Crystal River boys pick up a win as they knock off Weeki Wachee 55-22, kind of getting things.
They're starting to peak. They're getting turned on a little bit.
Yeah, they lost their first district game at Nature Coast. That's no harm in that. But then they've come back now and knocked off Citrus last Friday, and they beat Weeki Wachee this week 55-22. Citrus lost to Nature Coast, who continues to be the team to beat in the district, 69-36. So the district standings right now, you've got Nature Coast and Lecanto both off to 2-0 starts. Crystal River is 2-1, Hernando's 1-1, Citrus 1-2, and Central and Weeki Wachee are 0-2 in district. So sets up a pretty nice game for us on Friday night. Lecanto 2-0, Citrus is 1-2. And I know from talking to Coach Velarde and his young men that they had, I say, very realistic expectations for this season. They were talking about 500 would be okay. Let's try to get to 500. That would be a good season. They're 2-0 in district play. They've beaten two teams in district that will probably finish at the bottom, and I think Lecanto and Coach Velarde understands that. But if you're talking about trying to go 6-6 in district play, you're off to a 2-0 start. You've got the toughest part of your schedule in the first half coming up, Nature Coast. You've also got, Crystal River, Hernando, and Citrus. If you can pick off one of them, you've got 3 wins out of the first 6, which is what you want. And so 50%. Friday night would be a big one.
Yeah, it would be big time. I mean, Lecanto's starting to, you said they played a little lower on the echelon of the teams that they have, but they're averaging 78 points a game. I mean, you have to do that even when you're playing a team that's going to be lower caliber. You need to, put some points up, and they did. Velarde's doing it, Rose is doing it, Riviera's doing it. He did 23 last game. Citrus, on the other hand, they've been averaging 48 points a game. They got Shamblin, who's their number 1, so he's averaging 19. It should be interesting to see, though, how Citrus is going to tack up. They got 3 people they have to look at the guard. Lecanto's only going to look at 1 right now for their leading scorer, Shamblin.
Yeah, and it's, early on, and we've talked about Coach Densmore and what he does with that program.
Yeah, he peaks at the right time.
A drop in the last couple of district games. They won their first one, but then they've lost to Crystal River and to Nature Coast. So this becomes not a huge...
Not a must-win.
Yeah, but I think you want to play good as you head into the break.
So be competitive on that end. You want to be able to say, "Hey, we were there at the end. If we did, if we do lose, if they do win, great, fantastic." But if they
Citrus did lose, always plays well at home. It's a the home court
Crazies
advantage.
Are going to be there.
Yeah, it's home court advantage is nice there too. They played Crystal River a good ball game on Friday as well. So
if you can't get a ticket and it's sold out, you can watch this on YouTube live.
Or if you don't have a good seat, we'll have a better seat. You can still watch it live.
There you go
on YouTube, and go home and watch it the next day, and make sure your friends out of state or across the state can see it. So that's what's going on the boys' half of district play. On the girls' side, this week, there's no such thing, and I know Coach says don't like good losses or close losses, but I thought the Weeki Wachee Crystal River girls game was an important one because I think it really sent a message to everybody else that the Crystal River girls are still right there with Weeki Wachee. 48-41 is the final score. Weeki Wachee wins that game, and I know Coach Bryant I'm sure felt his girls were in position to win, and I know he had a couple of kids injured and not able to play in that game, but still.
That bodes well for them.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, Weeki Wachee has been pretty dominant throughout the early part of this season. They're 4-0 in district play, but a good showing by the Crystal River girls, as I think they have now. We've talked about on the girls' side. It's Weeki Wachee and everybody else. I think it's Weeki Wachee, and then Crystal River, and then maybe everybody else. Although Hernando's off to a 4-1 start, so you have to put them in the mix. Crystal River's 4-1. Nature Coast is 2-3. Lecanto 1-3. Citrus 1-4, and Central is 0-4. Central will be at the bottom come the end of the season. That they're rebuilding and struggling. Citrus, I think, is you've got to continue to improve game by game, and it'll be interesting for them as they take on Lecanto Friday night in girls action, and that becomes a big one because if you're Citrus, you lose that, you go to 1-5, and then you would have Lecanto with a couple of wins, Nature Coast, and everyone else above you with 4. So you would be stuck in that bottom part of the district standings almost halfway through.
Yeah, that seeding is going to be worse for you there because you're playing number 1, and you may probably be out quick if you do that.
Yeah, and for the Lecanto girls, they pick up a win, as we said, as they knocked off Central. They've got to find a way to finish some basketball games. They've been close. They lost this week at South Sumter, a game that I know probably Coach Allen believes that they could have won. They've had, I think we're up to 3 or 4 games now that have come down to the last possession or 2. So they haven't found a way to win them yet, and then they've got to figure a way. Yeah, Weeki Wachee took care of them pretty good, but I think if you're Coach Allen and you're looking at those 3 district losses, only the one to Weeki Wachee was a blowout. Probably feels like they should have or could have won at Hernando, and I felt they could have won at Nature Coast as well. So
that's what Coach Allen will be building on and telling the girls, hey, listen, we're here in every game, so we get to district time. Anybody can win.
Yeah, you got to start putting them away, and I'm sure Friday night that will be the message. So that should be a good one on the girls' side as well. As we said, we will be at the boys' game. It will be Lecanto at Citrus. Should be a lot of fun as we get into. For the girls, almost the halfway point. Friday night for most of the teams will be their 5th district game. You only play 12, so you're going to hit Christmas break at right about the halfway point of the season. Most of the teams will play a Christmas tournament or New Year's tournament before you get in, and then all of a sudden we'll be talking about district tournament time. And for the girls, like we said, Weeki Wachee, the team to beat, Crystal River right there behind him, and then it becomes playing for seeding. And you want to get that opportunity. Remember, again, this will be the last year where you've got district tournaments where if you finish 1st or 2nd, you get to the district championship game, you get into the state playoffs. They're changing that rule come next school year, and it's a whole different conversation. We've had some of it, but so anyway, the point this year in district basketball tournament and soccer as well on the boys and girls side is if you get to the district championship game, you're in the state tournament. So that'll be interesting.
You need to win 2 games in the district.
Yep, absolutely. Other thing, and no sense kind of pontificating what will happen, but I know the FHSAA will come out with the new classifications for next school year. It'll be up by the time we go on the air next week, and that will be interesting to see what it does. And remember too, like we talked about with this new playoff system, you're going to be in a district, but you don't have to play that district in those 7 other sports. Football, you still will have that district, and it'll be interesting to see. Do all the schools stay the same?
Do they mean play each other?
It's still in the same district, or does population change? Because I know Lecanto is close in terms of probably being moved up. Football is currently 5A. The other sports, they are 6A, but remember, we're changing the number of classifications, so that is another part of it too. I mean, it's not just your population. They're shrinking the number of classifications, so you're going to have to deal with that as you put together the population and what that will do with your travel. Now, remember, next year, You'll be in a district we're talking about for boys basketball, girls basketball, boys soccer, girls soccer, baseball, and softball as well, and volleyball. Those are the sports that will have this new postseason tournament. So you will have a district tournament that you will be a part of, and they will then see that at the end of the year. You do not have to play a district schedule. Right. Which means you don't have those automatic games like boys and girls basketball this year. You play each team in your district twice, those 12 games. You don't have to do that anymore. And, what will that do to travel? What will that do to some of these schools? I think around here, because of the relationship with the Citrus and Hernando County schools, I think a lot of them will still play.
I believe so.
And try to do the home and home with them. But, it'll be interesting to see.
That's what we're talking about, losing rivalries and, coaches playing each other every year and knowing each other. That's a problem. That's what we talked about in the football and actually, any sport now that you can transfer over like that.
Yeah, and it's difficult. And I could have the name wrong because I wasn't here, but I know talking to Coach Allen at Lecanto about it, he talked about the old Gulf Conference, the old GCC. He said that's probably something that they're going to do.
That would be an awesome
create the conference, which will create enough games for you to play to get ready for the district tournament. Since you don't have those districts, you create a conference and you play those teams home and home.
Yeah, and that's what we had when we grew up, and that's when we played each other. We still had the rivalries, in the county and in Hernando, but the Gulf Coast Conference, you wanted to be all Gulf Coast Conference. You wanted to be elected
see some
to
of those hanging from the rafters of some of the schools, right?
Little patches you had on your letterman's jacket and so forth. But that'll be nice to see come back because I think that's a great way of having the kids being rewarded too, because when you get that big, you're traveling all the way out. You don't see that anymore.
And the big thing for it is, even though it's, as you mentioned, it's scheduling. It's all about getting enough games. It's all about keeping travel to a minimum. I mean,
and cost to a minimum.
Absolutely. And I mean, you look at the districts now. Soccer's got has got some district lines that are a little different than basketball, but even for the schools around here, you got to go up to North Marion. That may be your longest trip. That's not that bad.
No.
If it changes, this is why you got to have a conference, because you still want to. For these schools around here, for Crystal River. All the longest trip is down to Nature Coast, which isn't bad. I mean, you certainly don't want to have to go, on a Tuesday night, have to go down to a Pasco County school because you don't have enough games during the regular season. That's tough to do. And then you want to keep the South Sumters and some of those schools in play. So that'll be interesting to see how the new district lines are drawn, the new classifications, how they are going to go, and how it's going to affect what goes on in the next few years. Remember, football is staying the same. Football will still have the exact same format. You still will have a district. You will still play in that district, and the district winner will still automatically qualify for the playoffs, and then the points standings will determine the 4 wild cards along with the 4 district winners. So that's something to keep an eye on, and hopefully we'll have those new assignments out next week and we can talk about that. So
definitely.
That should be fun.
And that will be our last podcast before Christmas break. And we'll take a break on the Christmas week, and we'll come back after that and get that going on, and basketball will be in full swing there.
By that time we'll be a couple weeks away from the end of the regular season in girls basketball and then boys. So postseason play will be here, and then soccer as well. So a lot happening after we get back from break. Just real quick, we'll just put the finishing touches on this. Nothing really to talk about with college basketball or college football. Obviously, the bowl game is getting underway in college football.
We talked to ad nauseum last week about the
how we're going to change
stuff.
It, and how they're going to.
They will be.
There's still that traction for an 18 playoff. We'll see if it does
by 2020
happen. 2020, that'd be great. I don't know. That'd be great.
I heard some rumors.
We're never gonna. We were never gonna have a playoff to begin with in our lifetime, and we have it. So
exactly.
It's funny how the powers that be can change things considerably. So college basketball just getting ready to get into conference play for most of them after the start of the first of the year. We'll see how that goes. Buccaneers.
Stop. Just stop there. Because you don't even want to go there.
I thought it was a pretty good game on Sunday against the Saints.
It was a really good first half. Until Dirk Cutter took over play calling duties in the second half.
Okay, so I'll ask it again. Where does
he's got 3 games.
That's it? And so he's got to win 2?
He's got to win 2.
Okay.
Simple as that.
I thought the defense played good again.
The Duffers got him going, man. The Duffers. He's good.
So if you fire Dirk Cutter, does the new coach have to keep Duffner?
No, unfortunately.
You don't think Duffner has earned a right to stay?
I think whatever coach would come in would be stupid not to look at it.
Well, he's going to bring in his own guy, though.
Yeah, but if he knows Duffner, then you hire somebody who knows Duffner. Duffner's been around a long time. He's worked with a lot of coaches, so.
Well, then why was he not a defensive coordinator? Why is he
Don't ask me that, because Mike Smith is a friend of Cutter's. So there you go.
Okay, so we'll see what happens.
You can tell I'm frustrated.
You are. We don't talk a whole lot. Haven't talked a whole lot about baseball. I just found it interesting from the winter meetings.
Yeah.
That the deal for the Rays in Ybor City is done. And
well, it's not done. It's done in the media. It's maybe behind the scenes. It might not be done.
Really? I think Sternberg.
I'm hearing things that are.
I think Sternberg. Pretty well. Look, yeah, you're right. It's never done until the moving truck, and this could all be a political play by Major League Baseball and Sternberg to get more
money
from Hillsborough County and saying you guys need to up the ante. Yeah, it is a game of cat and mouse.
I just don't see them. Why would they stay there until 2027 in Tropicana? I mean, that's the issue that I have.
So they can move. So they can have the new stadium built in, whether it's
or in state.
No, Portland, San Antonio, Charlotte, wherever it is. I mean, yeah, they'll. I mean, they're still going to make money, so they don't care if there's 10,000 there, and they're.
That's true.
They're looking at it as 2027 is not that, or 2024. I think they can even get out too. It's not that far away.
Yeah.
We don't care. We're still making money. We can strip this payroll every single season if we want to.
Well, just added a little bit. Added Morton.
They did. So that is very interesting to me because they have pretty much said to St. Pete, no. I don't. You can tear down the Trop and build something new. We're not interested. We don't like the location, and they've sort of pushed Hillsborough County for this Ybor site, and now. And you know what? But does it really even matter?
No.
I mean, is there really an appetite for this team?
That's the problem. Is that's watered down, as is the Marlins are. I mean, when you get this many people that are transients that go into the games,
picture. Is baseball
it's the same thing in the Buccaneers games.
Relevant.
When you come, Florida is a traveled state,
but I always bring it up, because I'm a hockey guy. Why? What and how have the Lightning
for some reason
just grabbed hold of a fan base? Sell it out, 20,000 every night. You can't you cannot see when the Colorado Avalanche or the Buffalo Sabres come to town on a Tuesday night in February, you can't get a ticket
because there's northeastern people that come down here.
Yeah, but it is still and it used to be that. I mean, I remember when they played at the Thunderdome down at Tropicana Field. Yeah, you would see 50-50 the jerseys for the Lightning and the Detroit fans or the Ranger fans. You don't see that anymore. I mean, that place is, even when Detroit comes to town or the Rangers, I think at a worst case scenario, it's 70% Lightning fans, and it may be closer to 80 or 90%. I mean, they have,
depends on the game. They have
completely taken over this area with the sport of hockey. Hence, 11 sheets of ice within 100 miles of where they play. Sellout crowds. So, man, my point with that is if hockey can figure out how to market itself to the Bay Area and turn people who either knew nothing or didn't have interest in the Tampa Bay Lightning, why can't the Rays grab hold of a segment of the audience and put 30,000 fans or 25,000 fans, and it maybe the answer, I'm sure, the location, because remember, there's a reason why when the Tampa Bay Lightning, and it wasn't current ownership Vinik, why did they decide to build where they built? They didn't try to work something out.
That's why I say Ybor is a little bit better. I mean, from a standpoint, there may be on this table here, because you're talking about Vinik, who owns the Lightning, investing in Tampa also. He's building everything downtown.
He sure is.
And, the Sternbergs, and they're not really investing in anything. He's a New York guy, and he's not putting money into it.
Wouldn't you? It'll never happen. But wouldn't you love if Sternberg sold the team to Vinik?
That would be awesome.
Now that would be to me. Then you would know if baseball could make it.
Yep.
Because I don't believe Sternberg is.
I don't think he's
concerned.
He's not concerned at all. He's concerned.
I just found that interesting that the commissioner also jumped on board and was like,
Manfred, and Manfred, I think that's the thing he's going to get. Hey, you need some more money. Get the money in here.
Yeah,
so
don't bother me. Yeah, you guys, and Oakland apparently has got their stadium situation taken care of as well. And there's. I mean, if you're Las Vegas and you've already got a hockey team that is going through the roof, you've got the Raiders on their way out there. I think they're just salivating at the chance. and so is Portland, and so is San Antonio. I mean, and you don't think Sternberg knows? And he said it. This is the best part. He straight up said it. We don't have to pay $200, $300, whatever the cost is to help our part of the stadium, because there are municipalities that will fit the entire bill, and he knows it.
And that's why I said it may be a power grab, and that's what I think that's happening. Well,
I think you're absolutely right. This is, you know what, we floated 150 out there. And you guys we don't even need to do that much because we can pack up and move, and somebody will welcome us with open arms.
Mr. Commissioners, get your referendum ready.
The commissioner just said, "You're absolutely Stu's right, man. He can take it and go, and we don't care. They're not going to care." No. So that's interesting. Enough on high
but we
finance.
will talk about baseball. I can't wait for that too. So.
Yeah, looking forward to. Minor league baseball.
We're not even in the winter yet. We're talking about spring.
Yeah, a lot of local kids. We will get into that too. We do have a handful of local kids. I know Humphreys, DeWeese, that are working their way up through the minor league system. So we'll keep tabs on them. I know I'm going to see Humphreys this summer as he gets ready to come back from Tommy John surgery.
Maybe even have him on the podcast.
We could. There's a story on Citrus Preps on him if you'd like to see it. We could probably get Jordan on here. He'd love to do it. And Donnie DeWeese continues to excel as he works his way up. One of the best pure left-handed hitters you'll ever see. So nice to see those local young men do well as they move up through the system.
I love how we digress. A little bit of baseball in the winter. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
winter meetings.
Hot Stove League. I mean, there's still some interest. So remind everybody, of course, Friday night, Citrus Preps on YouTube is where the high school basketball game of the week will be. It is Lecanto at Citrus. Gets underway about 7:30. We'll let you know when we get things cranked up. But check us out on Twitter, on Facebook, and as we mentioned, on YouTube is where you will see the game. So
if you subscribe, you'll get a notification. The game started.
Notification. You can watch on your phone if you happen to be forced to go to your spouse's holiday party on Friday night. You just pull that up, belly up to the bar.
It's right here.
Watch the game. Let us know what bar you're at, and we'll
give you a shout.
No, we'll meet you after.
Oh, there you go.
If you buy us a drink, I mean Pepsi would be fine. So Friday night, 7:30, high school basketball game of the week. Looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. Mike's going to be there too.
I'll be there.
I can't wait. I'm looking for. Not that I didn't enjoy Coach Hamilton helping out, but you're going to be filling some very big shoes.
Yeah, yours.
I guess I can just sit back.
I watched that last one. Boy, I got big shoes to fit in.
Well, you'll do fine. Time and score. Time and score.
Yeah, time and score.
That's all you need. So check us out on Friday night, our high school basketball game of the week. We'll be back here for the final time of 2017 next week as we close out this portion of the season and get ready for the back half of the winter sports season. So thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we'll see you on Friday night, and see you again here on next week.